Established denominations, like the Salvation Army, carry the same passion for souls through multiple generations and not lose focus / stay relevant and creative. And no, that's it. Stop there. That's it.
I think there's also a problem. You see, when he talked about progressive. I think there's a problem that we have in not recognizing that just because something is old or traditional doesn't make it obsolete or irrelevant. Okay? So, for example, in my church, I recognize that we have a good cross-section of people from the elderly to the very young. And that's what a church really should look like. A church should have everybody. So it's again, finding the happy balance. Okay? There's nothing wrong with the old if it is doing what it was set out to do. Just like there's nothing necessarily better about just because it's new doesn't mean it's better. All right? So it's you finding the balance of old and new, young, or and mixing it up. So if your congregation is made of the elderly and the young, then you must look at what you do and see how does this meet the needs of the old, how does it meet the needs of the young. It's like in a social setting, when they're building housing, they don't say, oh, we're just going to build nice new houses. No, they're looking, okay, if you have a large congregation of the elderly, you're thinking of bungalows. You're thinking of, things that don't have staircases. And then if you have family with younger children, you look, and so you have that cross section working across. So when you're tailoring your service, for example, it should meet the needs of the congregation that you have, while also trying to meet the needs of those that you're aspiring to. So,
yeah, I think one of the things I'm really passionate about is the sort of knowledge and awareness that we can't make people relevant as the church. We can't make people relevant. And the reason why is because people are relevant. Because they're people. So the people in the congregation are relevant because they're people. And actually, the only thing we can do as the church is get in the way of that. And we can actually try and pull that away. And in one sense, that can be done wrongly. But in the right way is exactly what Pastor O shared, which is actually pulling people in a different direction, which is countercultural in generosity. That is a countercultural thing of going, actually, we're going to be generous. So we're not going to have an offering to kind of raise money for ourselves so we can do more things. We're going to actually bless other people. We're going to raise money to give away. And actually for the world, that's countercultural. And weirdly as well, it's attractional for people because people are like, what? Why? That question of why is that happening? And that's not because it's why have you got for doing the lighting in this way or doing the cameras in this? It's actually, it's that heart behind it. And I think that in the sense of keeping a passion for souls and keeping a passion through traditions or denominations, it's being able to recognize that we're called to this countercultural life in Christ. And if we keep that the goal, if we keep that sort of following Jesus for center and the goal, I don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not kind of concerned as we're sort of reflecting on the history of the Salvation Army and reflecting on what's been and I can also, and obviously I didn't get much chance to share, but lament when I've sort of seen at times this denomination organization sort of lose its identity and lose some of that original passion. But I don't get concerned about that moving forward because I've just sort of got this revelation that, man, if we just keep Jesus at the center, he's going to lead us in that. If we keep the vision, Jesus, if we keep him our center point, if we keep returning to him for our identity and not our tradition, we're going to be relevant because we're going to be people on this earth. So, yeah, I guess my kind of reaction to it is almost I'm not worried if we keep Jesus at the center. And I think it's when we start to lose him at the center that actually that becomes more and more of a problem and more of a thing that we'll discuss day after day within the church and thinking what's going wrong. And the simplest thing that's wrong is that Jesus isn't at the center.
Thank you. Great answers. And
Can I say, just it's a quick phrase that my youth pastor shared with me, and I just think it's so good. And so I serve at our youth group, and I don't like FIFA. I'm not like as good at table tennis as them. I try really hard. I don't, I'm not that age anymore. So sometimes I find it difficult to connect. But he just said this sentence that goes, authenticity will always trump relevance. And it just kind of, like, since then, it's just made all the difference, because I can just be me and talk to them however they are, but just as long as I'm authentically trying to convey Jesus, I don't have to be relevant, but I have to be authentic, and that just trumps it.